But shockingly, it blew my mind. The Payload, I can't get as much fifth wheel behind a 3/4 ton diesel than I can my own 1500 Ram pickup. Blew my mind. Hello again. In this video, I want to talk a little bit more about trucks. In my prior videos, I actually restored a Ram 1500 truck. And the main reason why I was shopping for a truck like that is I had a little travel trailer. It was a Travel Manor pop-up hard side trailer. And I was towing that with a little Nissan pickup. And that old Nissan handled it great. But we were wanting seriously to upgrade. The Travel Manor, it was nice, I could store it in my garage, but I couldn't keep all my stuff in it. And then when we did get to the campsite and I had to pop it up, I had all my stuff in the back of the Nissan, and it just didn't have the capabilities to be able to put everything in my truck. So I started shopping for a larger truck, and that's when I stumbled onto this Ram 1500. It's a 2019. So I bought it and restored it, and then started shopping for a trailer. The first trailer I bought was the Bullet Premier. We loved the size of the trailer, the maneuverability, the way it handled behind the truck. When I bought it, it was 2 years old, and I think it had been rented out. It was really hammered. It was constantly needing a lot of work. They didn't winterize it correctly, so it had a lot of freezer damage. When the pipes burst, it did a lot of water damage. So I got tired of working on it and wanted something that was decent, but it gave us a really good idea of what we wanted in a travel trailer and where we wanted to go. So about the time we were thinking about maybe upgrading, maybe to a fifth wheel, maybe to a larger trailer, friends of ours put their trailer up for sale. It was a little more trailer than I really wanted, and it was really pushing the limits of my truck. So we just really tossed the idea around and said, let's just try it. It was a good buy. We couldn't go wrong. If it just ended up being too much, we could always sell it and start again. And like so many RVers and camping people have said, 3 times the charm. The third time's the charm, well, it was just too big. Pulling that, it was 27-foot box, but with the tongue and the rear bumper end to end, it was right around 35 feet. And getting that in and out of gas stations, getting in and out of parking areas, stopping at grocery stores to get food. We did a 2,000-mile trip from Utah all the way down in Arizona and through Phoenix, towing that all over. It had a semi-flat nose on it. The winds were just horrible. It made us wag. It porpoised and bucked going down rutty roads. It just was a nightmare to tow that thing that big. And we really didn't need a trailer that big. So we wanted to get something in between the Bullet and this great big Rockwood. We started looking at fifth wheels. And then that's when this whole big, huge realm of what can a truck do? And does a 1500 pull a fifth wheel? What is the capabilities? What is the payload? What is the gross vehicle and the gross combined and the gross this, and blew my mind. There's just so much when I started looking real serious about what it is that we want to keep for many years and just really get out and enjoy. But I like to boondock and get off the grid, but then you're kind of limited on how long you can stay and how much water do you need and how much power do you need and the batteries, will they last? So with everything that we want, we decided that a fifth wheel was probably going to meet our needs best. The main reason I wanted a fifth wheel is to be able to tow. I wanted that shorter. The fifth wheels that I was looking at, they call them 1500 towables. Are they really something that can be towed by a 1500, or is it just the manufacturer's idea of, well, this should work in your truck? So there was a whole lot of research that I had to get into all that to decide what is the best suited for my truck and for what our needs are. And so I want to share all that with you. There's a lot of research. I spent a lot of hours trying to figure out, do I want to keep this truck? Do I want to sell the truck and upgrade to something else that could pull a fifth wheel? I really want a fifth wheel because it follows behind the truck so much better. It's so much more stable. The wind resistance is so much better. Our Rockwood with that flat nose, man, when I got into a heavy headwind, we were 3-4 miles to the gallon. Will the fifth wheel be the same way? I really don't think so. Plus, the 27-foot living space in the Rockwood, I can get the same fifth wheel, 27 feet, but 5 feet of it is up over the bed of the truck. So from the rear taillights of my truck to the taillights of the Rockwood, we were 36 feet. With these travel trailers that I'm looking at, the fifth wheels, a 27-foot living space, from my taillights to the taillights of the fifth wheel is right around 23 feet, 24 feet. That's 10 feet shorter. That is going to be so much easier to get in and out of parking lots and gas stations and campsites. When you put all the weight on the back bumper of the truck, I mean, it just acts totally different. It changes everything on the truck. It lifts the nose up, so then your steering isn't as good. It pulls the trailer down, so then the trailer isn't as stable. Everything needs to be level. So that's why I did the video a while back about the leveling hitch and the stability. It's got a stability brake on it, leveled everything up. It transfers the load across all 4 tires of the truck. It keeps all the load balanced on the trailer, and it makes a huge difference on towing from the back bumper. So now I'm looking at, okay, can my truck handle a fifth wheel, or do I need to upgrade, and what do I need to upgrade to? So I'm shopping for the absolute smallest fifth wheel I can possibly find, and I found a list of 5 really good small fifth wheels that are in that 1500 category. And then I started really investigating the pin weight, the trailer weight, and then how much payload my truck can handle, how much towing capabilities does my truck have, what is the combined weight of the truck and the fifth wheel, what is going to be the best fit for my truck, and if it doesn't fit my truck, then what truck do I need in order to get the trailer that I really want? I found a trailer that my wife and I are just really excited about. So that's the one I'm going to look at. And it just, ironically, it just happens to be the smallest fifth wheel we could even find, but it's the one that has all the equipment that best suits our needs. So really excited, and I'll dive into all those numbers now, and we'll see, can I keep my truck, or do I need to trade it in and upgrade my truck? Maybe diesel, maybe get a little bit better mileage, a little more towing capacity, a little more torque so that I could set the cruise and relax. So let's dive into all of that. So I have all my notes, and we'll use this little truck as a demonstration. My truck, completely empty, is 5,134 pounds. So now we put a bunch of stuff in it. My wife and I get in there. The allowable payload for this truck is now a maximum of 7,100 pounds. So that's a pretty big difference. That is the payload that is a safe working load for my truck. So that's roughly just under 2,000 pounds. So that's pretty good. So then have to start loading it all and making sure that I don't overload it. So let's just say I have 500 pounds, my wife and I, the trailer hitch, all those things in there to an absolute bare minimum, it gives me a safe working pin weight of around 1,300 to 1,500 pounds. So now the trailer that I'm looking at has a 1,200 pound pin. So it works, but that's with the trailer empty. And now we start loading things in the trailer and loading the truck. So now the maximum load in this trailer is 9,995 pounds. The gross safe working total combined everything for my truck is 13,900 pounds. Now if I add all of this gear and the trailer, I'm way over that safe working load. So I have to start taking things out because I can't load to the maximum payload of the truck or I overload the truck. I can't load to the maximum payload of the trailer or overload the trailer and the truck. So I have to take everything out and then start looking at what is the safe load that I can put in the two vehicles and still get everything in there that I want and have it be safe. My truck sticker on the door, the tire rating is just over 1,200 pounds. The pin weight on this trailer is 1,200 pounds. I'm over my tires with my wife and I and the weight of the hitch and the pin of the trailer. So that doesn't work. But my truck has these custom 22-inch wheels on it. That came from the factory. The factory has to put the allowable payload based off of those tires and wheels. So now, if I change the wheels to the wheels you see on the truck here with the other trailer, those are 18-inch wheels. This is the door sticker on the similar truck to mine, built with basically the same components. That's just over 1,600 pounds. So that gives me an extra 400 pounds to work with. So 1,600 pounds, I could make that work. So when I load all the weight in the back of my truck and I push it towards the cab, if I put 1,000 pounds, 1,500 pounds right about here, my truck squats a little bit still. So by putting in airbag system to level my truck out, I'm very comfortable with getting right up to the maximum on my payload around the 1,600 to 1,700 pounds. So I have plenty to work with. You just have to keep in mind to keep it absolutely to a minimum. I'm comfortable now with how I'm going to load my truck. Basically, I can't put anything in the bed. Maybe 100 pounds. I want to carry some extra fuel. I want to carry some extra propane. And I want to carry my little generator. I'm right there, just over 100 pounds. I'm safe. I'm very comfortable with that now. Now it's the trailer. So let's talk about the trailer weight. So the fifth wheel trailer that I'm looking at, it has a gross of 10,000 pounds. It has a dry weight of 7,100 pounds. It leaves me with right around 1,200 pounds of stuff. What I did is I just started adding up everything I can possibly put in the trailer. The water tank in my trailer is right over the axle. The water tank and the water heater combine, I'm right around 500 pounds worth of water. That is bearing right in the middle. It's like a teeter-totter. So I'm not adding any load to the tongue. So I'm not having to worry about adding to my payload. So I'm safe there. But if I use all the water and it goes into my black and gray tank, then I'm loading the nose. How do you figure that? What weight? What percentage ends up on the pin? I'll get to that in a minute. So now let's look at, okay, I'm going to put all my kitchen supplies. I have a rear kitchen. All the food, all the utensils, pots and pans, everything imaginable in the kitchen area. Roughly 250 pounds. Now in my cargo bay, the basement, all the camping stuff I want to put up there, I'm right around 350 pounds of camping gear. that almost balances out again. So 250 here, 250 here, it's an even balance. I'm another 100 pounds, it's pushing down on the front. Now we get into that calculation. If you take the pin load and the dry load of the trailer, divide the pin by the dry load, you'll get a percentage of how much is in front of the axle. The percentage on my trailer is just over 16%. So if I take 16% of that extra 100 pounds that is off balance, that is pushing towards the front, that's only right around pounds here on the nose. So keep in mind, you've got to keep that balance. You don't want to overload the tail and have the trailer start swaying on you. A lot of people crash. They start to sway, they lose control, they tip them over. So at the same time, I don't want to put too much on the nose and transfer it to the truck. So that's the delicate balance that I've gotten. Okay, so let's do a recap over all the numbers. We'll try to do this real quick. You'll see at the top of this spreadsheet is the truck. The drivetrain, my truck has the 5.7 Hemi. It has the 8-speed transmission with the 321 rear axle. Now you'll see in the gray area, all of this information I got from Ram. I got onto their website and I downloaded all of the information about my truck, that specific build sheet that I had on my window sticker. So you can see the gross vehicle weight rating of 7,100. The base weight, this is the curb weight, and from everything I could tell, that's loaded with fuel, everything's ready to go, there's just no occupants. That gives me a maximum payload of 1966. Well, you can see in the gray area, the payload, they rounded it up to 1970. So that base weight, what I figured is those are the occupants and that is my fifth wheel hitch. So that's the absolute bare minimum. So the maximum additional load then I can get in my truck is 1,570 pounds. Now if I figure in the pin weight, that's given me another 354 pounds that I can put into the truck. So by the numbers, that looks great. So the gross allowable weight rating for the front suspension is 3,900. You can see the curb weight of 3,052, and that leaves me with being able to load the front end of the vehicle, 848 pounds. So now the rear, that's the critical part. Gross allowable weight rating to the rear is 4,100 pounds. Now if you take the base weight of the truck empty, that's 2,083, that gives me allowable of basically a 2,000 pound capacity that I can put in the truck. Well, obviously I'm not going to put that much in there because that's over the 1,966 payload that is already allowed. But you can just see how I can easily put a lot of weight in the bed and not have to worry about what's on the rear axle. So then in the red, I just took out the rest of the occupants, the weight of the hitch, and then I added in that pin weight. So you can see rear end wise, I'm at 551 pounds. That is okay. Now my tire rating is actually less. So I deducted 300 for the tire rating. And that then still gives me a safe tire load of 251 pounds. That's just pushing it. So I want to upgrade the tires. Everything is safe. Everything works by the numbers. But I still would be more comfortable with having an upgraded tire rating. Then the GCWR, which is the gross combined weight rating, that is 13,900. So I take out the base weight and the occupants of 5,500. That gives me a maximum combined weight of 8,366. So that's how much more I can load in the truck and pull behind the truck. So you can see my trailer that I'm looking at buying is 7,100 pounds. And that gives me left over 1,266 of combined overall gross weight. So that's what I can load into the trailer. So you can see in the max trailer column then, this is the number that Ram specified, 8,370 for the gross combined weight. Take out the trailer, and then you can see again the 1,270. So now if I take my trailer loading, I have allowed 1,270 max. So I figure my batteries, my propane, I'm planning on adding an inverter. You can see the total water. If I was to fill up the water tanks and head out, once I subtract all of those out, my all other stuff there in yellow, 820 pounds, is what more I can still add to the trailer and the truck in my gross combined weight rating. So that's a lot of stuff that I can add. Now I've put 354 pounds that I'm possibly can transfer from the trailer to the back of the truck. And that's where you have to look at, how did you load the trailer? Do you have the black tank full? I mean, do you have gray water in it? What is transferring from the trailer over to the back of the truck? That's that 354 pounds that is my safe working load that is being transferred back and forth. Just to level everything up, because I have a feeling my tail is going to sag a little bit because my springs are built for all of this, but it's still, if it sags like it did on my last trailer, I want to be able to bring that back up and give me more comfort. So that's why I'm going to add airbags to assist the rear end, but I'm not really factoring in any added capacity because of those airbags, and I also want to beef that up with going with a higher grade tire. So with all of this showing, the fifth wheel that I want does work with my truck, and I feel very comfortable with all of these numbers, but I have to be careful with how I load it. One more thing, let's say we go camping and we use up all the water and it's now on the gray and black. So I will just play it safe, figure I am overloaded. I'll drive 45 miles an hour or less to the nearest dump station and empty out. Which also brings up a point, before you go camping, if you don't need to put all that water in the trailer, don't. So that's my plan. I'll just try to keep it empty, and if we're going dry camping, try to get water nearby where we're planning on camping. So there are other trailers that I have looked at, fifth wheels, that are a little bit heavier and a little bit different balance, and we start running all those combinations again, really come down to not a whole lot of fifth wheels make any sense to put on a 1500 truck, especially on my truck. So then I started looking at, well, just for fun, if I wanted to go bigger, let's say I do spend the money and buy the Cummins diesel Ram 2500 pickup. So I started looking at those numbers and I was really surprised because it has a lot more towing capacity, but shockingly, it blew my mind. The payload of that truck is less than my 1500. I can't get as much fifth wheel behind a 3/4 ton diesel than I can my own 1500 Ram pickup. That really surprised me. Had I have spent $80,000, $60,000 for used, and then found that out, I would have been furious. So you really got to do your research. Now you can get a 3/4 ton truck in the Ram without the diesel and the Hemi, and it's got the higher gear rear end ratio. It will handle more weight. That diesel and the transmission combination is so heavy, it just pulls down the payload capability of that truck. So then I started looking at the numbers for the gas powered. It jumps up to 2,790 pound payload. And the towing capacity jumps up to almost 14,000 pounds. The towing capacity on the diesel is 14,500 pounds, but the payload drops down to only 1,900 pounds. So that's just a huge difference in the truck. Now, if you go up to an 8-foot bed and you start making some changes to the suspension and the capabilities and the rear end, those numbers start to climb again. But just goes to show, to replace my truck with a similar truck with a diesel, I actually would have gone down in my capabilities, not improving. So with all of that said and all that research I did, I bought the fifth wheel. So in my upcoming videos, I'll start taking you through all of that when it comes to, I need to change the electrical hookup. The hookup for the fifth wheel needs to be in the bed. Well, it doesn't need to be, but for me, I much prefer it being in the bed than laying across the tailgate and hanging down and having to somehow suspend it. So I'll be putting a cord plug on the side of the bed for that. I've got to get a fifth wheel. What kind of fifth wheel do I want? What kind of fifth wheel works best for the 1500 truck? Is there even anything out there? Because so many people say don't do it. Well, I'm going to, and I'll take you through all that. So, thank you for watching. Appreciate you tuning in. If you like what I'm doing, give me a like, leave me a comment. Love hearing from you. Thanks again. Goodbye for now.